So today we will be starting with determinants of demand. What is determinants of demand? Determinants of demand can also be called factors affecting demand. So you should know that both the two things means the same. What are the various factors which affect a demand? So the factors that influence the decision of households. What are the factors? I told you there are two types of demand initially: individual demand and market demand. So today what we will be doing is factors affecting individual demand, and after that we will be doing factors affecting market demand. So what are the various factors which affect a demand? The factors that influence the decision of households to purchase a commodity are known as determinants of demand. And we can look at the determinants of individual demand and demand. For example, when you purchase a mobile phone, when you purchase a mobile phone, what are the factors you consider? You consider what is the camera quality, how much megapixel, what is the storage capacity, what is the cost of mobile phone. Yeah, there are various factors affecting when you purchase a particular mobile phone. So what are the various things which affect a demand? So the first thing is price of a commodity. This is the most important factor. Whenever you go to a market and whenever an individual goes to a market and then they purchase anything, the first thing you ask the shopkeeper is the price. Yes or no? Or how many of you have just gone to the shop and just picked without looking the price, put it in your shopping bag and over, come out for it? Have you ever done that? No. So the first thing is remember price of the commodity. Price is the first thing. The most important determinant of demand for a commodity is its own price of the commodity. So here the first keyword is own price. Then what is the relationship between price and quantity demanded? Now every topic you have to understand what is the relationship between that particular factor and the quantity demanded. For example, for here, in case of price of a commodity, there is always an inverse relationship between price of the commodity and the quantity demanded, which means that lower the price, higher will be the quantity demanded. Higher the price, lower will be the quantity demanded. For example, if tomatoes are 10 rupees a kg, people would like to purchase 5 kgs of tomato and do multiple uses with that. They would like to make chutneys, they would like to make salads, they will be using tomatoes in every possible thing. But as soon as the price of tomato moves from 10 rupees, and because of certain economic thing, the price of the tomatoes becomes from 10 rupees to 100 rupees. Now, what will be your thing? Will you be using tomato for multiple uses?
No.
No. You will be using only for few important purposes. So now what is the relation here? At 100 rupees, you would like to purchase only half a kg because half kg is 50 rupees. And you will be using only this much. Then you will, instead of putting 2 in the sambar, you will be putting 1 or maybe half or anything like that. Just in giving you a basic example, you will not be making salads, you will not be making chutneys. You will be only purchasing it for important cooking essentials. So the second keyword is inverse relationship. Inverse relationship means what? Price of the commodity. Inverse relationship between what? Inverse relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. So this you have to remember, not just inverse relationship. Inverse relationship between what? The factor which we are studying and the quantity demanded. So whatever factors we are studying, factor keeps changing, but quantity demanded remains the same. Like for example, the second one we'll be studying the relationship between income and the quantity demanded. Because we are studying demand and we are studying various factors. So factors The comparison is between the factors and the quantity demanded. This is how you understand, and you don't mug. This is how you understand, you write it in a flow. Now there is an inverse relationship. There is an inverse relationship between the price of the commodity and the quantity demanded. It implies that lower the price, and then you have to explain what is inverse relationship, not just leave by writing inverse relationship. So with this one particular line, inverse relationship, you can make one whole paragraph, that price of the commodity and its quantity demanded. Yeah, so it implies lower the price of the commodity, larger is the quantity demanded, and higher the price of the commodity, lesser is the quantity purchased. And they have given here the example of apples. And this type of demand is known as price demand. Now this can be a hidden question from the paragraph. Now what is price demand? Well, if the question is asking you 1 mark or 2 mark, what is price demand, you will be explaining this factor, price of commodity. Are you getting it, Rohan?
Yes,
ठीक है? So now when you're writing and revising and making notes, उसी समय लिख लो this, keep it highlight and keep it there, one right above that factor, price of the commodity oblique price demand. समझ में आया? Thus price demand refers, now what is price demand? Thus price demand refers to the different quantities of a commodity which are purchased at different prices. And this will be further explained in law of demand. Now coming to the next factor, which is income of the consumer. Okay? After looking at the price, what is the next thing? We see our pockets. If we go to a mall and if we see a t-shirt worth rupees 5,000 rupees, first you will be seeing the price. I'm explaining you in a kind of a story thing. First you will look at the price of the t-shirt, you will turn and look at the tag. Then second thing, you will also know whether how much money you have in your pocket, or you will just see the price, oh wow, nice, 5,000 rupees t-shirt, and you buy it. ऐसा होता है क्या? Do you do like that? The second thing is you will check how much your budget allows you. How much is your income? Or how much income, how much pocket money you have got from your parents. Second is your income. Then income of the consumer is the basic determinant. Okay. Income of the consumer is the most basic determinant of the quantity demanded of a product. See again, factor is changing, quantity demanded is remaining the same, because whatever factor we study, we see what is the impact of the factor on the quantity demanded, as it determines the purchasing power of the consumer. Because income determines how much purchasing power you have. Okay, like as I said, when the price rises from 10 rupees of tomato to 100 rupees, your purchasing power becomes less. Previously, you were buying 5 kgs at 10 rupees. Now with 100 rupees of tomato per kg, you are buying only 1 kg or half a kg. So your purchasing power has reduced by 4 kgs. Yeah, got it? So generally there is a direct relationship between the income of the consumer and his demand. So now the next catchword here is direct relationship. In price, it was inverse relationship. Inverse relationship is also called indirect relationship. And here it is called direct relationship. When it is direct, what happens? Price rises. Look here up. I'm showing some sign. When price rises, sorry, not when price. When income rises, quantity demanded also rises. So they both are direct, positive, upside. If income falls, quantity demanded falls. So it is moving in the same direction. So it's direct. But in the previous case, inverse relationship, when price rises, quantity demanded falls. The whole thing why I am showing it as signals, that in examination, at least this strikes that ma'am showed some signs. Direct, both will be moving either upwards or downwards. But inverse, it is like this. One is up, one is down. One is up, one is down. Clear? Then, so what happens? With increase in income, the demand for a commodity increases. And however, this not may be the case. But there are certain products which does not follow this general rule. Now we will be discussing that on which type of products this rule does not apply. Because in general, when income increases, quantity demanded increases. Rohan, can you once mute your sound?
Yes.
Once mute your mic. Okay. There was some static sound from your mic.
Air conditioner is on. That's why.
Oh. So you put off your mic. Yeah. Because then it will be coming in the video audio. When you will listen to the recording, that sound will be there and it will be very disturbing. Okay, so income of the consumer. Yeah, so while discussing the relationship between income of the consumer and the demand for a commodity, we may distinguish three types of goods: normal goods, inferior goods, and inexpensive necessities of life. So these three goods also you have to. So when you get this factor, na income of the consumer, then you have to explain normal goods, inferior goods, and inexpensive necessities of life. That what is the relation between income and the quantity demanded for normal goods, quantity demanded for inferior goods, and quantity demanded for inexpensive necessities of life. Now I'll be dealing with these three goods. What are normal goods? Normal goods are those goods with the demand for which increases with the increase in income of the consumers and decreases with the fall in income. So these are called your normal goods, which follow the principle of income of direct relationship principle. Income rises, quantity demanded rises. Income falls, quantity demanded falls. These are normal goods. Okay. So there is a positive relationship. So direct relationship is also called positive relationship. And indirect relationship or inverse relationship is also called negative relationship. So these are some alternate names which you should be knowing. So there is a positive relationship between consumer income and quantity demanded. There is a whole range of products which we purchase in larger quantities as our income rises. For instance, a consumer may increase his demand for clothes, refrigerators, television sets, cars as his income increases. Now, this is a general thing. Now, as our income increases, our demand keeps on increasing. Our needs, human beings exists on wants and needs. Like, for example, when my income increases, maybe I have a TV. I will upgrade from 65 inches to 75 inches. Maybe I have a fridge. I will upgrade from, single door to the double door or from bigger refrigerator. Or maybe I'll have a second refrigerator. Maybe I would want to keep it in my room also so that I don't have to go to the kitchen all the way. Maybe from one car, I would want to have the second car. Maybe I will upgrade my car. So these are normal goods. Your demand, your needs here does not satisfy. You always look for the better or the upgraded version. It demand keeps on increasing. As a matter of fact, all articles of comforts, all the luxurious items, you will never be satisfied. For example, females and gold. You have one earrings, income increases, you want second earrings, third earrings. Then from gold, you want diamond. Then from diamond, you would want some other ruby, emerald. So all comforts. For boys, it's like gadgets. From maybe Android, they would want to go to Apple or upgrading their gadgets. So these are all your all the articles of comfort, luxuries, goods which make our life more comfortable and enjoyable. Maybe, okay, I'm now not satisfied with TV. My income has increased to one extent that I create a small movie theater in my house. Big people, they do not have, they do have TV in their guest room, but they also have the mini theaters in their room. Big Bollywood stars, they have mini theaters at their home to watch movies, big screens. So they come to this category, and as our income increases, we can afford to purchase goods in larger quantity of those goods. Okay. So instead of having one kitchen set, glassware, we might have 10 different types of glassware. Some steel, some glass, some gold, some silver, some copper, some silver, all kind of things. Then the second category of goods here is inferior goods. Now, what are inferior goods? Inferior goods are those goods the demand for which falls with increase in income of the consumer and increases with the falls. So this is not following the rule of income. It is against. So here they are inferior good is not having direct relationship, it is having inverse relationship. Because when the income of a consumer is rising, then they would not want to purchase, they would discontinue purchasing that particular commodity and then they will buy some other commodity. Now, remember, the inferiority of goods is again different from people to people. No goods are inferior. It depends upon your use and your income status and income level. For example, we generally, if you talk about the cooking oil, what we use, the most cheaper variety of oil is palm oil. When you go to all these stalls where they are frying bhajis, pakoras, and samosas and cutlets, by default, I just get food item in class when I'm speaking. So when they are doing all that thing, do you think they are doing it in pure Saffola Gold refined oil? No. They're either using palm oil or they're using till oil because these are the cheapest versions, the most unhealthiest oil. So similarly, for people also, so they are very, not everyone can afford olive oil. Olive oil is considered as the most healthy oil. So when my income increases, I would want to, upgrade from. So maybe I would, when I was very, like suppose Mr. X, he was very poor. He used palm oil. After his income increased, so he discontinued palm oil and he moved to refined oil. After refined oil, he moved to a higher version of refined oil as like, let's suppose Saffola Gold, Saffola Active Plus, the more costlier version of refined oil. After that, again, his income increases, he became more rich. So he moved from Saffola Gold to olive oil. Understood? So the previous goods became inferior for him. So when he was using that, then that time it was not inferior for him. What is making the previous goods inferior is his rise in income. Got it? So there is an inverse relationship. So here, inferior goods has inverse relationship between the income of the consumer and the demand for inferior goods. For example, the demand for coarse meals like maize, jowar. So this is written in economics book, but in reality, ragi, jowar, bajra, these are not inferior goods. These are the most demanded food right now. Health conscious people are demanding. So it's now in vogue to consume all these coarse grains. People and now it is getting sold at a higher price. Okay, people are demanding multi-grains. Coarse cereals, coarse clothes, black and white television are now examples. Yeah, black and white television. Now, will you go and purchase black and white? No, no one will purchase. But at early 90s, black and white television was in trend. Then it was substituted by color TV. Then LCD. LCD became LED. LED became OLED. So all these kind of things. So the previous becomes the outdated versions become inferior. You will not buy a 2 GB storage phone. But when we started with smartphones, yeah, it had 2 GB and 4 GB storage. Now my phone has 200 GB storage plus some extensions. So it's just like that. The previous version becomes outdated or inferior. So consumers will purchase more of these commodities at lower level of income. At low levels of income, increase in income of the consumers is accompanied by increase in demand for the commodities. However, once a certain level of income is achieved, further increases in income are accompanied by fall in the demand for this commodity. So it's not like you will go on increasing, you will go on increasing. At one point of time, they will get saturated. So it's like if I become super rich, now you just talk about CEO of Tesla. He is super rich person. You talk about Ambani, he's super rich. He might have television even in his bathrooms. But then just because his income is going on increasing, he will not everywhere in his wall, he will not put television. At one point of time, he will stop buying television, right? Maybe he hasn't washrooms, his all the bedrooms, he have everything, but one point of time he will stop. Even after, so inferior goods, after one point of time, they will shift to, they will stop. And when the income increases, the people are moving from inferior goods to superior goods. Like, for example, black and white becomes inferior when income rises, and then color TV becomes superior. So 65 inches becomes inferior for me, and then I would move to 75 inches. Got it? So we cannot tell that, okay, this commodity is inferior, that commodity is inferior. We can't tell. In that inferiority depends upon our income level. Then you have inexpensive necessities of life. In case of inexpensive necessities, what are the inexpensive necessities? Some things which are inexpensive. The name itself is inexpensive necessities. What happens to those goods which are inexpensive, but it is very necessary? For example, salt, matchbox. Now just take these two examples. The quantity purchased increases with increase in income up to a certain level. After that, you will not purchase it. Like, even if the income is increasing, there are certain inexpensive necessities in our life, you will not purchase. Now, if your income is increasing, you are becoming super rich. Will I purchase a salt factory and keep for myself? I will use only that much salt now, which is required to make my dishes. But I'm not going to purchase a lot of things and keep just because my income is increasing. And similarly, matchboxes. You're not going to buy too many matchboxes. You will buy only that much matchboxes which you need for performing your puja, or maybe you will need it in kitchen. So there are certain inexpensive things. So what happens to the quantity demanded? The quantity purchased increases with increase in income up to a certain level. And thereafter it remains constant, irrespective of the level of income. This in view is the fact that there is an upper limit to the consumption of such good. Is it clear? So for normal goods, direct relationship. Income increases, quantity demanded increases. For inferior goods, the quantity demanded moves from inferior goods to superior goods. But in inexpensive goods, the demand increases little bit, then it becomes constant. So this you just understand. Then this functional relationship between the demand for the commodity and the level of income is known as income demand. Now, previous point we had what is price demand and what is income demand. The definition is here in these three lines. The functional relationship between the demand for a commodity and level of income is known as income demand. And then you can give the example of inexpensive good necessities, example inferior goods, example your normal goods, and give further example depending upon how much marks it is. If it is only 1 mark, then just write the 3 lines and leave it. If it is 3 marks, then you explain the 3 types of goods with examples. Now, what does income demand show? The income demand, second point under income demand. The income demand shows how much quantity of a commodity consumer will buy at different levels of income. Okay. This diagram is not important for you all, okay? And you're not expected to draw this diagram. I'll just leave that out. Now, the third point is consumer tastes and preferences. This diagram will not come. What is the important diagram? That is law of demand that I will explain. So just avoid that. What about you, Rohan? Is that there for you, diagram?
Ma'am, this diagram is not there. We are doing the diagram of this individual demand curve.
Yeah. Yeah, individual demand and market demand and law of demand. So this is
Yes.
not an important diagram. Third is consumers' tastes and preferences. Consumers' tastes and preferences. Now, apart from price and income, tastes and preferences also matter. For example, that 5,000 rupees t-shirt. The price is okay for me, and I have that much money also in my pocket. But the color what I'm getting is red. I don't like red. Will I buy that? No. Here my tastes and preferences matter. Someone gives me 10,000 rupees to eat in a Chinese restaurant where they're serving octopus or lizards. Even if they give me a crore of rupees, I will not have that. Because that, again, I'm giving a funny example so that you remember this example. I can't have octopus. I can't have lizards or snakes dishes. Even if someone is offering me in the best 5-star hotel or 10-star hotel of China. Got it? So apart from income and price, it also depends upon the tastes and preferences. The level of demand is also is influenced also by the tastes and preferences of the consumers. Tastes and preferences depend on the social customs. It depends upon social customs, habits of people, fashion, general lifestyle of the people. As I explained to you yesterday, I gave you an example in business studies that in outside India, KFC also sells KFC, they all serve pokes and beefs and whatever.
Yes,
But in India, it is against the religious sentiments. You cannot sell. So they have to abide by the social. So even if they bring it in India, even if they sell it for 2 rupees, no one is going to buy it. Again, a very classic example. Now we enjoy this Kellogg's cornflakes. But initially, when it was launched in Indian market in 1995, it was a total waste. No one purchased Kellogg's cornflakes because Indian mothers were not ready for such kind of breakfast alternative. No one wanted to have that soggy kind of thing in hot milk, putting that Kellogg's cornflakes. They actually, Indians did not know that concept. We have this thing of consuming milk hot. Cold milk people do not consume. Cold is different. Milkshakes and other thing is different. But when your mother gives you milk from very childhood, she doesn't give you taking out from the refrigerator. Have you ever had milk like that? No. So in India, the custom, the taste is having hot milk. So what mothers did was that this is a real case study example, which we give in MBA and all that thing for case studies for company failure. So I'm giving you for that tastes and preferences. So when mothers were taking out milk and then hot milk and they were putting Kellogg's cornflakes, so it was becoming soggy. Have you ever had cornflakes?
yes, ma'am.
है ना? You know that in hot milk, if you put cornflakes, it will become like very soggy. But cornflakes were not supposed to be eaten like that. Cornflakes were supposed to be eaten with like not frozen milk or cold milk, but normal temperature milk, and just put the Kellogg's little bit and have the crunchy milk and that thing. So that was the real concept of eating Kellogg's. Okay, so at that time Indian market was not ready for that. So that time it was a big failure. So again, it depends upon consumers' taste and preferences. If I go on giving examples like this, I will be lagging behind. But then I feel that examples really connects you with the topic. So sometimes advertisement, new inventions, etc. Some of these factors like fashion keep on changing. Technology keeps on changing. The classiest example is gadgets, the tastes and preferences. Even if now someone gives you digital camera, you would not want to have it because mobiles have better cameras than digital cameras. Why would you carry a digital? When I purchased my first Canon digital camera, it was the best quality when I was in 2010 in my final year in graduation. That was the first time I bought my digital camera because I wanted to capture the pictures of my farewell. Blue color Canon digital camera I had. And it was best. And you know what was the megapixel of that camera? 12 megapixel. Now even if someone gives me for free, my phone is better than that. It has 48 megapixels front camera. And back is, I don't even remember. Back is much, again, better. So here what has happened, the technology is, tastes and preferences change. So 2010, that was my taste, my preference. But 2024, after 14 years, even if I get that for free, I will not take. So as a result, the demand for different goods changes. People switch from cheaper, old-fashioned goods to costlier mod goods. Mod goods like modified goods. fashionable goods. That's called like mod goods. Increased demand for smarter designer clothes is an example of change in taste. So now, if your income increases or tastes and preferences, like now you're in school, you are dependent upon your parents' money. So you must be buying some things like if you have to shop from Myntra, you will be maybe buying Roadster garments or all those cheaper Myntra brands. But when you start earning, then you would buy all designer clothes like Gucci, Prada, and maybe you would buy all Adidas stuff for yourself or Puma stuffs for yourself. It's all designer categories you will go. Same product, but at a very higher cost, just because it has a designer label. Then the next one is price of related commodities. What are price of related goods? That there are two types of related goods: substitute goods and complementary goods. I will come to that. So price of related goods also affects the price of that good. For example, the demand for a commodity is affected by the price of related goods as well. If the change in the price of one particular goods affect the demand for another good, we say that these two goods are related. How can we say that the two goods are related? Just as suppose two in a showroom, two brands of shoes are kept next to each other, that does not make it related to each other. It becomes related to each other because when the price of one good changes, the price of other goods will change. For example, if you go to a shopping store to buy maybe let's say big chips packet, and you're getting in an offer big packet mega family offer pack at 50 rupees Lay's, and next to that Haldiram's packet mega family pack you're getting, initially you were getting it at 50 rupees each, but now the family pack of Haldirams have changed from 50 to 20. Now do you think that these two are related goods? Yes, it is related. I'm talking about chips. You get Lay's chips also, you get Haldiram's chips also. Yes or no?
Yes.
Both are chips, and you have to buy it for a party. You have to buy it for a party in your house, and you have to buy it in larger quantities. So won't you consider buying the 20 rupees family pack than having 50 rupees?
20 rupees.
Yes. There the price, then that those two goods become related. Yes. Then there is a relation. But there you will not compare the price of chips packet versus price of Coke packet, because Coke and chips are not related. Now I'll explain what are the types of related goods. Related goods can be classified in two categories named substitute and competitive. It's not substitute or competitive goods. And then the next one is complementary goods. Now, what are substitute goods? The name itself suggests substitution, like you get in class substitution classes. When one teacher is absent, another teacher comes and takes substitution classes. We call it as substitution classes. So in substitute goods, what are substitute goods? Instead of using one good, if suppose that good is not available in the market, I will use another goods. For example, I want to have a orange color cold drinks. And when I tell orange color cold drinks, what comes to your mind? Tell fast.
Mirinda.
Mirinda. But if I don't get Mirinda, I would go for Fanta.
Yes.
If I don't get Mountain Dew, I'll go for Limca. If I don't get Coke, I might go for Pepsi. I might go for Thumbs Up. If I don't get Maaza, I'll go for Slice. Do you understand what is substitute goods? One goods can substitute another. If I don't get Nescafe, I can buy Brew. And these are that it is also called competitive goods, competitor products. Okay. If I don't get Adidas, I might go for Puma if the price range is same. So substitute goods are those goods which satisfy the same type of need. Coffee is not a substitute for Mirinda. Vanilla can be a substitute for strawberry flavor. Okay, vanilla can be a substitute for butterscotch flavor because it satisfies the same kind of need of having ice cream. And hence can be used in place of one another to satisfy a given want. So my want is to have ice cream. So if I don't get Amul ice cream, I can go for Vadilal ice cream or Mother Dairy or have more. Tea and coffee, Coke and Pepsi are the examples of substitute goods. Now, what is the relationship here? Again, there's a direct relationship. So again, the second point to remember is that there is a direct relationship. Direct relationship between the demand for a product, let's say tea, and the price of substitute. So here they're not talking about the demand of tea and the price of tea. No, here we are talking about the demand of tea and the price of the related good, which is coffee. Don't make this mistake here, because that was the first category, price of the commodity. Here we are not talking about the price of tea and demand for tea. So it can be anything, price of Pepsi and demand for Coke. So again, we are not going to do the curve because curve will not come for you. So you can just see here, I'll explain you the curve irrespective. So here, this is the price of coffee and this is the demand for tea. So as the price of coffee moves from P0 to P1, the quantity demanded. So what are we measuring? Price of coffee and demand for tea. So price is moving from P0 to P1. So it's moving upward. The quantity demanded is increasing from Q0 to Q1. If I show it on graph, if I draw it on graph and show, and the demand is upward sloping. It's like direct. Upward sloping is not direct. So when we come to law of demand, you will understand what is upward and downward sloping. And it can also be petrol opposite in other way around. Like for example, again, petrol and cars are related good. This is not. So this is for substitute goods and this is for complementary goods. Now coming to the complementary goods, okay, some part of substitute we have been. Same thing they have explained here. So we say that two goods are substitutes. So when can you say that two goods are substitutes? We say that two goods are substitutes if an increase in the price of one goods leads to decrease in the demand for another goods and vice versa. Vice versa means the other way around. Thus, the demand for a commodity varies directly with the change in the price of its substitute. Then the next one is complementary goods. What are complementary goods? Complementary goods are like, again, don't get confused between joint goods and complementary goods. Complementary goods are those goods which are complementary to one another. Complementary to one another in the sense that they are jointly or consumed together to satisfy a bond. Like car and petrol, gas and stove, gas and stoves, gas and gas stoves. Yeah, gas, you have to have the LPG cylinder and the gas stoves. There is an inverse relationship between the demand for good and the price of its complement. Here, in complementary, you have indirect relationship, and in substitute, there's direct relationship. So you can make some short forms and learn. SD means substitute and direct. SD. Complementary. CI. Complementary indirect relationship. SD and complementary goods, you can make CID, complementary ID indirect relationship. That this you can remember. There is an inverse relationship between the demand for a good and the price of its complement. The nature of relationship between the demand for a commodity, say car, and the price of its component. The nature of the relationship between the demand for a commodity, say car, and the price of its complement, say petrol, the complementary goods petrol, is represented by a downward sloping curve. Okay. This implies that an increase or decrease in the price of petrol causes the decrease or increase in demand for cars. For example, if the price of petrol rises from P0 to P1, see, it's going from P0 to P1, it's increasing. The quantity demanded, so at P0, Q0 was quantity demanded. So at P0, Q0 was quantity demanded. If you see at the graph, so Q0 is falling, it's going opposite direction. From Q0, it is moving to Q1. It is reducing. Are you understanding this graph?
Yes, ma'am.
So it is falling. So you look at here, the curve is downward sloping, it's towards down. And here the curve is upward sloping. So this is in the case of substitute goods and direct relationship. And direct relationship, and here it is complementary goods and indirect relationship. Okay. It's not writing, actually, it is PDF document. No, that is a Word document it writes. And I'm not using Word document because I wanted to show it like word to word. I wanted to explain. So the way the demand, again, one very important thing is coming here, the way the demand for one particular product is affected by the change in price. This again underline. The way the demand for one particular product is affected by the change in the price of another product is known as cross demand or cross price effect. Another question is coming here in this particular topic. What is cross demand and cross price effect? Now, what is the answer? The way the demand for one product is affected by a change in the price of another product. The price of tea, how it affects the demand for coffee. The way a demand for one product is affected by the change in the price of another product is known as cross demand or cross price effect. So cross demand is not only for substitute goods, cross demand is also for complementary goods. So cross demand is a common topic for both complementary goods and substitute goods, or it is known as cross price effect. The cross demand shows the functional relation. Now, what is cross demand definition? It shows the functional relation. So this word is very important. Functional relation between what? When we talk about relationship, so between what? Between the price of the commodity and the demand of some related commodity. Price of commodity X and quantity demanded of Y, not price of commodity X and quantity of commodity X. No, that is in the first point. When we talk about the price of commodity. Here, this point is price of related products. So when we talk about price of Coke versus quantity demanded for Pepsi, that's here. So cross demands explains the functional relationship between complementary goods as well as substitute goods. So when you have to give an example of cross demand, you can explain either substitute goods as an example or complementary goods as an example, or you can mention both. Remember this. Then the last, okay, not last.
Excuse
Yeah.
me. Can you please give me some more examples of complementary goods?
More example for complementary goods. Yeah, just take an example for noodles and Manchurian, or something which you consume together, complementary. It's complementary to each other. Like the complementary goods are anything which you consume together. You try to consume it in conjunction with one another. It can be eatables or maybe again, what to say, like petrol and car and what to say. I'm not giving some examples. Anything, I just like maybe when I'm watching a movie and popcorn. If the prices of movies goes up, I'm not going to have popcorns as well to cut off my cost. Anything. Anything can become complimentary when you have the habit of purchasing those two things together. Some things might not be complimentary for everyone. For example, some might just go to watch their movie and not have a popcorn. But for me, when I go to watch a movie, I might buy popcorn. So that's complimentary for me. Anything when you consume it together. Okay. Then consumers' expectations. Now, consumers, they always predict, not they predict, based on some trend, they have some expectations. Consumers' expectations about such things as future prices, income, availability of goods play an important role in determining the demand for goods and services in the current period because goods can be stored. For example, if consumers know that in price, like for example, at the end of winter season, after the winter season ends, people do not get green peas. So many people, they buy lots of green peas, 5 kgs, and then they boil it and keep it as frozen. because they expect that in future they will not get. Yeah, though that thing is that in market you get frozen peas, but some would want to make frozen peas at their if they like, if they're pea fans. Similarly, they can do it for sweet corns or any kind of thing, or if they know that in future the price is going to rise. Okay, now if suppose overnight the government says that from tomorrow the price of petrol is going to increase by 5 rupees per liter. But you and me might not be affected that much. But transportation companies, they will be affected. They would immediately order all their fleet of trucks to go and fill their petrol tanks, because from tomorrow the price is going to increase by 5 rupees per liter. Yes,
Yes.
even if you as an individual user, if you're rational, you might have just buy petrol today, even to save, let's say, 10 rupees, if you take 2 rupees, 2 liters of petrol. Okay, look, when demonetization happened, that in 2016, when the government overnight announced that from tomorrow the rupee note is going, there will be ban on currency. People started withdrawing money from ATM. They went on spending because the notes will become invalid from tomorrow. Okay. So if a consumers expect a rise in the price of commodity in future, they would demand the greater amount of this commodity today with a view to avoid purchasing it at higher price. And similarly, when there are big billion days sale on Flipkart or Amazon Great Indian Festival, consumers expect that prices are going to fall. So suppose they have to purchase a refrigerator and that they know that the big billion days are coming, they will wait for the big billion days to come to buy the refrigerator because they are expecting that the prices will be less in those sale days. And you would often find long queues at the petrol pumps when this already I gave example. Similarly, for people expect an increase in income. So even if they expect that, okay, after 2 months, I'm going to get bonus from my company, then I will postpone some of my purchases that, okay, when my income will rise, then I will purchase. So consumers have expectations about lots of things, about the prices, the income, availability. So in future, if the consumer expects, okay, this model will be discontinued, then I would want to buy the charger of that model. And suppose my model is old and I know that in future the company is going to discontinue that model, and I might lose the charger or might charge. So I might buy the extra charger and keep for myself. Anything. It can be any expectation. So in the same way, the consumers expect scarcity of certain goods in future on account of expectation that its production may fall in future due to strike, crop failure, etc. The current demand for such goods would increase. Now, and during COVID time, everyone experienced it, right? Whenever we were going to the market, we were purchasing in bulk and coming because we wanted uh, we wanted less interaction. So whenever we were going, instead of purchasing 5 kgs, we were purchasing 10 kgs and coming. So that every time we don't have to go to the market. And there was also a fear that the goods might get over. People were stocking sanitizers, people were stocking medicines and all such things. Okay. Then you have, so in between, in 3 minutes, the call might get over, but I'm start. Okay, I'll just ask. Any doubt still here, Rohan? Anyone?
Ma'am, I still not understood the graph of this complementary goods. I have understood the definition, like what's the difference between the substitute goods and complementary goods, but I still did not understand the graph.
Okay, see, look at the graph. What is my screen? I'll show. Can you see my new screen?
Yes.
Now, this is, see, this is my substitute goods first. Here comes price and here comes quantity. So in substitute goods, let's suppose my original price was P0 and my quantity was Q0, not price of Coke and price of and quantity of Pepsi. So if the prices of Coca-Cola rises from P0, or let's say not P0, I'll use it as 10 rupees to 20 rupees. And at 10 rupees, I was buying 10 bottles. So if the price rises from 10 to 20, I might not want to purchase Coca-Cola. Instead, I would want to buy Coke. So here, just a second. I think I mentioned this as Pepsi. So when the Coca-Cola price was 10 rupees, I was buying 10 quantities, 10 bottles of Pepsi. But if the price of Pepsi rises from 10 to 20, I would stop buying Pepsi, and the consumers of Pepsi will also start buying Coke. So maybe 5 users of Pepsi will shift from Coke to Pepsi, and the quantity demanded of Pepsi will increase from 10 to, let's say, 20. So here it is positively. So price of Coke increase in price of Pepsi, increase in price of Coca-Cola leads to an increase in quantity demanded of Pepsi. So this is direct relationship. And in case of complementary goods, it's opposite. Okay, let's say tea and coffee. So if the price of tea increases, again, I'm giving substitute goods example. I'm so sorry. I think. Give me an example of complementary goods.
Car,
Bread and butter. Tell.
car and petrol.
Car and petrol. So if suppose at a certain price, I'm at a price of car and demand for petrol, quantity demanded of petrol. So let's suppose the price of car is 100. At this price, I demand 5 liters of petrol. So if the price of car moves from 100 to 500, so because the price of car has risen, I would not like to buy like to buy petrol. So my demand will fall from 5 to 3. So it becomes from 5 to 3, it reduces. This increase will lead to this decrease. So here my demand is falling. So look at this point. So this is making it downward sloping. Price is falling. So here it is upward sloping, here it is downward sloping. This is direct relationship, and this is
Inverse relationship.
indirect or inverse relationship. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I will stop here because the meeting will end. Any other doubt?